Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. Blake Cousins here. We've got a special broadcast for you tonight. We sat down with Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, along with our team members, in regards to what's happening here at Third Phase of Moon and what we've been doing all these years on our channel and what the future is about to bring to us via our channel, the top UFO network on all platforms around the world. Third Phase of Moon.
Third Phase of Moon
Please
has
enjoy
changed
this
the way
special
people look up
episode.
at the skies and wonder, are we alone? With over 770,000 subscribers and millions of views on YouTube, their goal is to be one of the top in the UFO field, and it's worked. Tonight, in a rare interview, we speak with Brett and Blake Cousins about what it's like to be chasing UFOs and alien stories all around the world. The brothers also have a new Amazon series called Alien Nation, and later we'll get to a few of their team members like Rich Giordano, Dr. J, Doc Skinner, Quincy Rose, and Paula Asteria. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Brett and Blake Cousins. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio, guys. Good to have you here for the first time.
Dave, appreciate you having us on. The brothers are here.
Well, I appreciate you guys doing this, and you know, our chat room is cruising right now, absolutely cruising. And as I say that, it stops for a quick second, you know. But no, I mean, I don't know. I've been going through a transformation lately with all of this, you know, just the shit that's going on in the world right now, and I am so down that I've come to a new rule that I'm gonna try and, you know, better myself as a journalist in this field and be a little bit more credible as well, and you know, because you know, when your audience grows, you know, and I've seen you guys grow, and I tune in, or every night before the show I tune in and watch Richie, and I tune into some other friends who have shows, and just watching their numbers start to grow and grow and grow, you know, ourselves included here, it really is you know, a testament to a lot of the good work that's going out there, and you know, it's humbling, and considering the shitbag this entire world is in right now, you know, to see something positive like that, man, it feels good.
Yeah, it's crazy because, you know, we've been doing it for a long time, Third Phase of Moon. And, you know, it's been my brother and I. Sure, we've have our correspondents like Dr. J and others that were involved over the years, but we wanted to make like this unit, a circle, and invite people. Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit, but yeah, you know, it is there. I think it's a new people are more open to it now than they were just 4 years ago. You can't, these pilots that are talking, it's not so easy to dismiss what these pilots are saying. So it's pretty cool. Some people are very skeptical of UFOs, but then you say, well, what do you think these Navy pilots are saying? And then there's a conversation versus before there's no conversation about it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Now that, like, somebody that was such a skeptic, well, now that Navy's involved, now they'll get involved with the conversation, where before they would have never got involved with it.
Yes. No, I can totally see that. Totally see that. And you know, the one thing that I will also say too, and this is a lesson that I'm learning myself too, is, you know, like I talked about, you know, when I asked you last half hour about a lot of the crap that you guys have taken, you know, I remember people that I didn't even know coming up to me saying, hey, why did you have Third Phase of Moon in your chat room last night? I'd be like, well, anybody could come chat. And then, you know, all of a sudden they start kind of trying to drop kick people. And I would just say, you know what, dude, like, I'm sorry, but I don't judge people by your reaction. I judge people by how they treat me. And you guys have always been very nice to me. You know, thanks to your relationship with Rich, you got to know us a little bit here as well. And you know, and I just appreciate
That's right.
Yeah, and I just appreciate the way you guys have, you know, treated a lot of us here, you know, because I will fully admit, and I got no problem, as we got about a minute to go here, I got no problem saying that, I was wrong about about you guys and about others in this field, and it's kind of cool sometimes to be able to eat that humble pie and say, you know what, I got to know these guys a little bit, and they're good people. And I don't think we do enough of that in the UFO world. I really don't.
No, you're exactly right. Yeah, there's too much. I don't know. There's a lot of competition. Not, I think we're in Hawaii. We have this Hawaii mentality. Yeah. It's a little rough for us growing up. The only white boys in this school, had to deal with a lot of stuff, a lot of racial issues, to be honest. But, you had to fight your way through it. Now you're friends with everybody.
Let's talk some UFOs here for a little bit here, because we talked a little bit before in the last half hour about your channel. But you guys have been trying to nail down, and I think you've done a good job at nailing down a lot of UFO videos with the public. Most recently, I was absolutely amazed by some of the footage coming out of Hawaii around this giant craft that was in the sky and then seen to go into the water. I mean, this is some weird things going on there.
Hawaii's the hot spot. Obviously, you got Pearl Harbor, some huge military bases on our island and other neighboring islands. They're using and experimenting with aircraft that the public hasn't seen yet. We've spotted them with our own eyes. There's something going on around here, and why not? You would think that being in the middle of the Pacific, that you wouldn't want to optimize that as an experimental playground for some of these exotic craft. Meta propulsion vehicles is what we're calling them now. What's powering them? We don't know, but yeah, Hawaii is a hot spot. You could talk to anybody around here about UFOs, and there's not any, for years, everybody knows that their family, their cousin, whatever, family members, they've seen so many UFO sightings out here. It's common. It's not something out of the ordinary by any means.
And I look at it too on a little bit of a different sense, but where I am in British Columbia, we are surrounded by indigenous cultures. And a lot of the cultures around here really, really are very in-depth with their extraterrestrial contact, the UFOs. Is that pretty much the same way as it is? I've never been to Hawaii. I know. I've never been anywhere off of this continent. And so is it pretty much the same way in Hawaii, where the indigenous cultures there have almost like a connection to the star people, as they call them here?
Well, it's a good question. And off topic real quick, my brother and I was talking about how you would be a great character in one of our movies, that you would play this kind of like scientific dork with his communication system trying to make contact with the alien, and you'd be like this comic relief character. So maybe one of these days we'll get you down here in Hawaii and be in one of our fun movies.
That's Giordano for sure. I'll lend Giordano my beard. And then
we already got Richard's character down.
Oh, okay.
He's going to be another character. You'd play this other guy.
All right. I'll do that. I will do that for sure. But
yeah, I think the Hawaiians are open-minded. The culture believed in many gods. They worship the lava god Pele, Lono, the Kama Pua'a. They have a heavy-duty mythology for sure. So I think a lot of the Hawaiians are open-minded, that, the Hawaiians studied the stars. They're the best observers of stars, using it as navigation to cross the Pacific, to be able to sail their canoes to other parts of the Pacific Ocean, and know how to calibrate it to get to these islands without getting lost. They were the best navigators out there. Actually, hidden secrets still lost that we don't know how they did it back in the day. So these Hawaiians, it goes way back that they've seen things in the sky. So I think, sure, the indigenous people have a belief that there's something. I'm not exactly sure if they think it's from another planet or not, but some believe so.
I want to ask you, before you developed Third Phase of Moon, had either of you ever experienced not just seeing UFOs, but seeing aliens or having some sort of ET contact?
Well, I'm going to pass it off to Brent. And I could say that we both had an experience. Brent, why don't you tell Dave that one? You had to get straight to the point, huh, there, Dave?
Well,
That's a big question.
Hey, everybody's got some aliens, right?
Well, yeah, we told this story a few times on our channel. I think, maybe about 3 or 4 times. We haven't got in full detail, but when we told this story, it was kind of like, well, I'm not sure if we should tell it on Third Phase. It's kind of like it might be a little too much, but we'll just break down the experience. This was in 1974, 75. We're living on the island of Oahu, and this is back in the valley, a deep valley called Palolo Valley, and we're pretty much perched up near the edge of it. And it's kind of a landscape where if you're on the top of the valley, all you see is the suburban homes beneath you, and then everything else behind you is just like sacred lands that really hasn't been traversed ever before. We found some interesting Hawaiian grave sites in the area, even bones inside walls that were implanted there. We're not sure if this has anything to do with the encounter, but all we know is this place is a sacred area. So let's just break it down. 4 o'clock in the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning, Blake and I are in our room. It's dark, and we start seeing these 3 gray aliens that look like Skinny Bob, and they were in jumpsuits, black jumpsuits, and they're just pattering around our room. And we're in our bed, and we're looking at these things, both of us. So this is what I'm not sure. Twins think the same, and maybe they'll say the same things at the same time. But this is like we're not dreaming. We're both aware of what's happening, and we're not feeling any kind of intimidation. We're not afraid of what's happening. We're just kind of calm, and we could see them. They had big, dark eyes, and their heads were huge, but we almost called them like they weren't grays because we said their skin almost had the color of human skin, a white skin. And that was odd. And we don't know what happened next, but what we did do the next morning, we definitely went to Mom and Dad and we said we had these 3 beings. We didn't know what to call them. We just called them, which is the strangest thing because we didn't know what else to call them. We called them big butt heads because their heads were so big. They looked like somebody's big fat ass.
Right. But you don't know if you were taken or anything like that.
That's the question. No, we don't. And we can't go into that because we have no conscious memory of that. So we'll say we weren't taken, but you never know. So that was our kind of interest in aliens from the very beginning. And growing up at a young age, we'd go to the library, and the first thing we'd go to is, where's the alien book? Where's the Loch Ness? Where's Bigfoot? That's the only thing we're pulling out of the public library. That's what we wanted to see and read.
How did that really affect what you guys were doing? Did you have any other further happenstances like that where these aliens came back, or was it a one and done sort of affair?
Yeah. Growing up even on the North Shore of Oahu, this was in Palolo, and then our dad was a big time surfer, pipeline master. They called him a tube master, something like that. And we moved to the North Shore of Oahu, and he loved to surf the big waves. And we lived right on the beach at Laniakea Beach, and is one of the best surf spots in the entire planet. And our dad told us one night he was hanging out with one of his best friends, and he says, "Oh, we saw a UFO last night." And we're like, "And you didn't tell us?" "Well, if it ever comes back again, Dad, you wake us up, or you just let us know if you ever see it again." And about a month later, he says it's back. Get up. And it was about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and he's seeing this. We're all witnessing it, and we have the full ocean views. We're right on the sand, and there's no obstruction. And we see a bright light, probably about 3 to 4 miles out, and we could see it just zigzagging from left to right along the plane of the ocean. But this thing was traveling probably about 5 miles on every jump, 5 to 10 miles per second.
Unbelievable.
And then this thing just stalled out over the water, and then it dropped something, and something fell into the ocean, and the thing just took off. So just like this Hawaii sighting with this blue UFO sighting that you were mentioning earlier, when the people said that it went over and dropped into the ocean, it brought back memories. We're like, That's it, Brent. That's what we're kind of not exactly the same kind of object by any means, but still, it seems that there's a lot of UFO activity that contributes to underwater UFO activity for sure, USOs.
Do you look at the entire phenomena as being part of Hawaii's culture, or North America's culture, or certain people's culture? Because there, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of science around this, and a lot of people digging around the science regarding this entire phenomena. But I do believe that there are certain cultures, certain families that are almost meant to be experiencers, maybe because they're more open minded, more spiritual, maybe they have some sort of alien connection. I don't know. But do you believe that you're part of that culture of the experience rather than the culture of the scientific or media side of everything?
Maybe a little bit of both, Dave. Definitely, our UFO experiences didn't stop even then. They continued on, and one of our most dramatic UFO experiences happened on our birthday, December 30th, 2010. A friend of ours said, "Hey, look," because they know we're into movies, we got video equipment. They called us up and go, "Hey, look, you got to come over to our farm. There's strange things happening over our farm every night, strange lights." And apparently, this property was on this, again, a spiritual, sacred heiau, like old Hawaiian foundations still exist over there. Apparently, they used to hold battles and celebrations. But anyway, while we're there, we saw the TR-3B that night. It just happened upon us. It was our best birthday present you could ever imagine. We had 5 eyewitnesses over there. We're screaming like little girls when this thing came down and ascended on us, this huge triangular-shaped craft. It was one of the most amazing things, obviously, one of the most amazing things you could experience. So, there's something going on, and we are part of both worlds, because we want to have people looking at our stuff as well. So we have friends that are in the FBI, physicists that are involved to the highest level, and we're in correspondence with them. We're sharing what we're receiving and getting their opinions as well, and trying to find out exactly what their thoughts are, and then try to rule out what it's not, and sometimes what are the possibilities if there is some kind of secret cover up in regards to what we know about this whole UFO world. I think Third Phase of Moon will eventually be the platform that's going to bring it to the world. Like, here it is. I don't think there's going to be any other place. I don't think the major media is going to put it out there in regards to sharing the truth. It's going to be somebody like a channel like ours that's going to break it wide open. And I think we've already shared disclosure in its own way with the evidence that's brought forth. And a lot of the evidence we brought forth still has not yet to be explained. And that's interesting to me. And even the people that we're dealing with can't explain it away. They're open-minded. They're skeptics, but they're open-minded, which is cool. Like these people that are involved in these high professions, and they still communicate with us because they find it interesting what we're doing, because they know we are getting the information from the public. And that's about as best as you're going to get to the source. And just recently, I have some files that came in earlier today, and it's going to be amazing. I'm kind of giddy about it because I just received these high-res images of these maps of 29 Palms Marine Facility Base. And I'm not going to say exactly what we found within these maps and this old paperwork, but this is what I think Third Phase Moon's all about. Somebody's going to find something in their closet. Somebody's going to find something buried. Somebody's going to find something that nobody knows about. It's tucked away. And just because of circumstance, somebody maybe passes away, something, maybe issues were involved, but there's things that are hidden that will be revealed, and it's just a matter of time. And apparently we received this paperwork from an Indian reservation as they're going through a trailer of somebody that deceased, and they came across these papers that may blow a lot of things wide open, and I'm excited. This is going to be something major. So, Third Phase Moon's on the forefront of just getting that information out. Brent, you got something?
Yeah, I was just going to bring up this year's been wild. And we're pretty much, we just got past it. 2020 was kind of this whole thing, and we kind of grew stronger over what just happened in 2020 because we created a team, a solid team of people that really love what they do and are passionate about UFOs, such as yourself too, Dave. So like you're around too, 8 months ago, we reached out to our source and we wanted to get people kind of chiming in, bringing in their kind of opinions of what's happening on a daily basis in this UFO field. And it was a wild ride, and it was a cool idea. And we could see people's nature of people, how they loved this new kind of aspect of what was happening in that third phase of Moon. And it was a neat accomplishment. And I don't think we haven't put up an upload pretty much every day. Maybe we missed a couple, 5 over this past 8 months, but our team has been solid from Rich Giordano, Doc Skinner, Apollo, Dave Scott, Dr. J. Everybody's been on it this past 8 months. And I just want to thank everybody on that one. Appreciate it, guys.
Speaking of which, you guys have a new series that is out that I believe is on Amazon. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and why you went in the Amazon direction?
Well, we're not going in a particular direction, except I'd have to say we want to get the people being aware that we're here, obviously. And I think on YouTube, we're achieving 3 million views a month right now, almost 300,000 views a day. But you just never know. YouTube is a weird platform right now, but it's always shifting. So we got to shift with YouTube. So we've been around YouTube for quite some time. And it's great that we're able to pass that knowledge to some of our team members to let them know kind of the insides on how YouTube works. But the Amazon Prime that we've come out with is called UFO Report, and it's out there. And we wanted to also spread the information because not everybody's a YouTuber. There's a lot of people on Amazon, and they just want to stream it on Amazon. So we've opened up a platform. We have 5 seasons, and right now it's doing quite well. I think it's up to almost 1 million watch minutes on YouTube. On Amazon Prime. UFO Report, and even Dave Scott's in there. Like Brent was saying, about 8-9 months ago, we reached out to you, Dave.
Yes.
And what did we ask you, Dave? What did we asked you of some kind of service? You tell everybody.
Oh God. You were just like, you want to do this, like, I was shocked. Let me put it this way. I was shocked that you guys called. I'm still shocked to know because, Amazon Canada sucks. I will say this. You don't understand, our American friends here, you don't understand the plight that we have here in Canada with Amazon Canada and Netflix Canada. They cut out a lot of really good stuff. I remember one time I was supposed to be on this one show. I'm like all primed up. All right, here it comes. And it didn't come on in Canada for another month and a half. So, I mean, it's, in working with you guys approached me and you said basically that you wanted to start a team of credible people who both had journalistic and research integrity out there and get more formal points of view. And you asked me, actually very politely, if I was interested in doing that. And I said, absolutely I would be. I mean, why wouldn't I? Right? It's not about trying to get my face on TV. Look at this mug. It's not pretty. I know the people in Radioland will not be able to see it, but it's not pretty. But you guys, you wanted to bring a different way to it. So that's why when you guys asked me, I was like, sure, why not? Why not help out?
I think it was we came up with the concept and we're like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do it with a team and get it done efficiently so we could put up an episode every single night and keeping up with any major production in television? But we were doing it every night. And I think we produced 30 episodes. And it was incredible what we were able to do, where I asked every team member and nobody failed. Actually, I'd send what was coming into Third Phase of Moon on a daily basis and share the information to the team members. And each team member would actually film themselves on their iPhone or whatever video they had, upload that video and send it to me. And I was able to put it into our timeline and then show the video and get everybody's responses and produce these 22, 30-minute episodes on a nightly basis. Nobody was doing this on the planet. And we're always doing things. I think Third Phase of Moon's always like coming up with new ideas that keeps it new and keeps it fun and keeps it relevant. So we're always fine-tuning it, but it's interesting. And we could always go back to that kind of a style, which we always will. And I think we brought Dave Scott recently on one of our episodes when we talked about the Bigfoot and Mothman, because we knew that you love these cryptids.
Well, I mean, if you got aliens, you might as well get some Bigfoot in there, too. You got Bigfoots as well, But, yeah.
From an eyewitness.
Yeah. I would love to see another one. Do you believe, as we got about 2 minutes to go, do you believe that all of this phenomena somehow, one way or another, is connected?
The phenomenon of, what do you mean? Paranormal?
UFOs, paranormal, aliens, Bigfoot, the night marchers that you have down there, all that sort of phenomena.
I would separate a few of the phenomenon. I think there's certain things. I think there's this thing called meta propulsion craft, and I think the meta propulsion craft is something government, something developed within a private corporation that has these things that you would characterize as otherworldly, and then there are things that are otherworldly, and then there are spirits and legends. I think we could separate some of these things as you would separate species of life form.
There's a lot of people out there that tend to think that, there is something congruent with this, and I never get to use the word congruent enough on this show. Do you believe that there is, even though they're different phenomena, that there may be this invisible thread? Because there's a lot of people who have Bigfoot sightings who automatically then see UFOs around, and vice versa with paranormal and aliens. And I'm just curious, do you think that there is some sort of link?
I think we all have this as a human character that we all want to find out whether we're alone. We want to know if there's ghosts. Obviously, we want to be able to communicate with family members that may have passed, things along those lines. But then again, man, what if we're all in this one huge consciousness and we're just in a big brain cell, and everything that we're part of is designed to give us this semi kind of question and entertainment in our mind to think about all this stuff. So it could be all connected as a program.
Very true. Gentlemen, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are through hour number 1, and in hour number 2, we're going to hook up with a few other people here on Spaced Out Radio to come join us to see if they want to talk some aliens, talk some UFOs, and you know what? Maybe we could convince the Cousins brothers to stick around. They are busy guys. They do have some editing to do, and I'm sure they've gone through about 17 computers in the last 2 years editing all of their film that they have had to do for their channel, Third Phase of Moon. We're going to get into UFOs next again here on Woo Friday on Spaced Out Radio. Make sure you stay tuned, because hour 2 is right around the corner. We have, from Goof On, Rich Giordano, Dark Hour, Paranormals, Michael Roser. And we have Paula Astoria. Hello. First time here. And Doc Skinner's first time here as well. And we're all going to be talking some UFOs. What is going on in the world? What is happening in the land of aliens? Everyone, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio.
Glad to be here.
Oh, Rich, you've done
Likewise,
this before.
thanks for having me. Thank you very much.
All right. Everyone is kind of teamed up with Third Phase in regards to UFO Report and everything along those lines. And the subject has really grown. And as we stated in the first hour, there is really a lot of information going on, whether it's from the government, whether it's from researchers who have been doing this for 25, 30 years, whether it's the amateurs now who are just looking up in the sky because there's nothing better to do than stare up at the stars for the first time in years, and they're seeing things that they have never seen before. Doc Skinner, I want to bring you in here first, if you don't mind, in regards to this, because you've been doing this a long time. In the way that ufology has changed, especially since the entire COVID crisis with people being stuck at home, how much more evidence do you think we are getting that is legitimate evidence comparatively to people not knowing the difference between a UFO, a satellite, a drone, or anything of that ilk?
Well, I think people are more adept to seeing and believing because I think they want to believe. I'm the guy that's from the movie industry, so I try to debunk once in a while, kindly. And, I think the movie industry has planted all those seeds in our minds that we've seen so much of it that it's kind of like desensitizing us, basically. So if it does happen, a lot more people won't have heart attacks. But the fact that everybody's home, we've all been grounded for a year. A lot more people are going out and seeing stuff, but we do have a lot more people with drones. We have big corporations that are putting on drone shows. You get people that may not understand about drones. They may know that they exist, but they don't really know what they can do. And people might put some things in the sky. Also, what are the candles that float up with the bags up in the sky?
Chinese lanterns.
Chinese lanterns. Sorry. Those have been mistaken, and I think they've what's the word I'm looking for? Baffled all of us. And sometimes we've all seen something and we're like, oh yeah, that's what it is. And then we find out later that's not what it was. So there's nobody that's immune to being fooled by
Exactly.
Yeah. And so it does happen. I don't know if there's as many hoaxers out there as there used to be, because like Blake said, they've gotten smart. They've caught on to it, that, people can figure it out. So
that's what this whole idea at Third Phase Moon, when he started this up, and I'm glad the whole panel's on. I think we're missing Dr. J, but I'm glad everybody's joining us tonight. From Richard from Goof On, we got Doc from Doc's 1028 Productions, we got Michael from Dark Hour Paranormal, and Apollo from Apollo's Odysseys, and even Dave Scott. So these are the people that we've been collaborating over the year, trying to have people look at the UFO videos, and people that have been studying it all this time to have their own, opinions on things with a kind of a collaborative of people's minds.
Yeah, it was pretty cool when Doc Skinner and Goof On actually, they hooked up for the first time, the collaborators that we just worked with this past 8 months, and they're able to work together on a team. And we had the exclusive interview with Dr. Greer just a couple of months ago, and that was a really good collaboration between Doc and Goof On. How did that happen again? And what kind of information did you guys get? You actually got some pretty good insight.
Well, not only good insight, but we actually got VIP first interview treatment. They beeline straight to us. It was actually kind of cool, but a little bit intimidating because he had his entourage. But it was an amazing interview and a good presentation, great presentation.
When we
Rich?
Rich, fill us in. You were there.
I was there. It was incredible, actually. It was the first time I met Dr. Greer, and they beelined right over to us. We thought we were going to talk to him much later. We didn't know, and he showed up right on time. And I was getting our VIP passes up front, and I come out and I hear Greer say, "I hope your buddy shows up soon." I'm right here. I'm here. Oh my God. It was very nerve-wracking. I almost fell over. Doc caught me. There was a crowd of people gathering around behind us, and it was just like a red carpet type of thing, man. It was weird being in the center of attention. You could feel everybody looking onward and cheering Dr. Greer, and It was really good, and he dropped a bombshell that he got this evidence that he can't show us of an alien autopsy, I believe, if I'm correct on that.
Dr. Greer doesn't always give like full access, but he knew that third phase of moon was going to be there, and we're like, oh, we got some people in Arizona. Can you give them access? We need the VIP passes, and then we're able to get Doc and Rich these VIP passes and this exclusive access to Greer. So this is amazing, and even Paula Asteria, while Dr. Greer was in in California, we're like, you get over there, Paula, and as we're shooting our documentary Countdown to Disclosure, we're able to get access for a follow-up interview, and Paula Asteria was able to even interview Dr. Greer on location.
I did. It was a really incredible day. You know, I rolled over in my lime green alien Jeep and pulled up to his place out in Marina Del Rey, and we had a great interview, talked about a lot of very interesting things. My camera guy didn't do so well on his end, so sorry about that, guys at Third Phase of Moon. But yeah, it was amazing having conversations with him, especially after seeing him for so long with everything he's done in the disclosure scene. Like, he's done so much for the disclosure movement. I mean, more than a lot of people that have been in it. I mean, he's been a part of this for so long, and I actually have been, following him for years. And I think the first time I actually saw him in person was about 7 years ago at Contact in the Desert. If people don't know what that is, it's like the Woodstock of UFO conventions and Joshua Tree, a little south of LA. So that was my first time I saw him. I believe he had that little alien and I was like, it was my first time at a UFO conference. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy has a real alien. I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. So that was my first time seeing him, and I've actually DJ'd his his premiere for a previous documentary that he came out with. So it was amazing actually getting to sit down and do an interview with him, and we definitely talked about a lot of interesting things, especially his new app coming out. That is really cool. I definitely recommend everyone checking that out. I think it's called CE5.
Paula, I want to ask you a quick question here, because the beautiful part about 2020, and this is completely off topic here, and I would actually like to have you on the show just one-on-one about this, but 2020, we saw a real influx of young women coming into this field and really starting to bring some good information, good interviews, solid research. I think of you, I think of Nicole Sakic, I think of a number of other people, Geraldine Orozco as well. Yes, she's been around a couple of years, but she's really taken off. Do you think this is a resurgence of women in ufology that we're starting to see, because it's so been dominated by men for so long?
Yeah, I definitely have a lot to say in regards to that. I've actually been a part of the UFO scene for years, but, I started with kind of hosting events, different conferences. People would have me come in and host, starting, I think, a few years back. And then I started giving presentations at different events around here, and eventually moved on to reporting for UFO news networks and then my own show. So I've been kind of, in the scene for a while, but I guess I'm just kind of starting to come out a little more now. But, I think what's interesting about women in the UFO scene, I mean, there are a lot of women that are in the UFO scene that have been around for a while, especially Laura Eisenhower. I actually just got off an interview with her. Man, we went through some really incredible things.
She's deep.
No one knows who Laura Eisenhower is. She's Dwight D. Eisenhower's great-granddaughter, but man, so what I think is interesting about women in the UFO scene is, men kind of come at things just from the way men are wired. They like to come at things from very technical aspect. They want to, it's kind of more of a left brain kind of thinking. But like women, we're very intuitive and we see things more in an energetic sense. And I think a lot of men kind of tend to overlook this when really it's just kind of like a different kind of science. It's not like, a very technical, like physical science. It's a metaphysical science. And that doesn't mean it's not any more real than like, a more solid, like by the books kind of science. So, I think that's what's really kind of overlooked with women. And, I think a lot of women in the UFO scene, there has been women in the UFO scene for a long time. And, we all understand this, but I think it's definitely something that's coming to the fore a little more nowadays, because we are shifting into the age of Aquarius, which is a more divine feminine energy that we are coming into at this time. And I think that's kind of given space for these characters to step forward and share their side of things. And I think it's definitely amazing to see more of a balance in the UFO scene, because
Absolutely.
yeah
That's exactly right. Because when we started the team about 9 months ago or so, we're like, okay, we need a female's point of view on this. And I got to thank Doc Skinner from 1028 Productions, because we're kind of like, you got anybody in mind? What do you think? We're over here in Hawaii. We're kind of limited on like people that know their stuff on UFOs, been around, So we were searching, and Doc Skinner, 1028 Productions, he's like, I got the girl for you. And he introduced us to Paula, and we found out about Paula's background, what she's been up to. She's been to the pyramids. She's been on locations. She's been doing this for years. And a lot of people were underestimating actually Paula's ability, or even, her experience in this field. And they didn't realize that she's been doing this for quite a while, and she knows a lot. So it's really cool that actually women are actually having a voice in this, because it has been dominated by men all these years.
I think it's great. I really think it's great as we push the needle forward, because in the end, much like politics, UFOs isn't a men or women's thing, or whatever you want to define yourself as. It's an everybody thing, much like it's not a political side of Republican or Democrat or Libertarian or whatever you choose to side with. This is something in a subject, Michael, that literally is going to affect everyone on this planet. And, when you see, and I don't like talking politics on this show, but when you see the politics getting involved with ufology, really, I think we're all remiss and not better for it, for allowing that to really take over the who, what, where, when, why, when all we're trying to do is all solve the same problem. Mike.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, absolutely. I agree with you on that. It's interesting because there are so many researchers in the field, by and large, and of course there are some in our military, and they know what they're doing. They've been doing this for a while. Perhaps they've had more contact, at least in the way of the technology. But in the end, as human beings, whether we have disclosure or not, whether we understand the ET presence or not, it's still something that affects us all either way. So, when you look at some of these people that are higher up and they have this information and they're cloaking themselves behind a veil of national security in terms of withholding some of this information, I don't think that's always the case. And I think it's a real easy cop-out to use that when they want to keep something under wraps. It's doing more damage to people than good in holding these things back. I think at this point, perhaps in history, there was a very valid reason to keep some of this stuff secret, maybe in the way of consciousness and being able to digest some of these new world concepts, really. So, I mean, if we were able to at least find some sort of common ground, and no, I don't think the 180 days that we were allotted is enough, and I don't think what we were just given from the CIA as a dump was enough. But if we could find a middle ground somewhere to just, as a population of humanity, to move forward with these subjects, I think we would be much better off. And in the end, the power wouldn't be so misaligned, in a sense, with who has this information.
And by the way, I will go on record as saying I think you have nicer hair than I do.
I appreciate that, but I'd have to come back against that. Look at that wave you got. It's a classic wave. I don't even have product in there.
You don't even need a flat iron. I do. Yeah. We could debate this all night long. Hell with everyone else. We could debate the hair game, but you got a solid hair and beard combination going on. You need to be proud of that.
I appreciate that very much, Dave. Likewise, brother.
Absolutely. Rich, I want to ask you about the whole political side over the last couple of years in ufology, the way it's really kind of trended towards, taking political sides. I mean, we even saw that, numerous people coming out saying that even though, the president was literally talking about UFOs, it seemed almost monthly, that it had to be a Democratic president that needed to disclose. I mean, we've heard that from everybody from Tom DeLonge to Stephen Bassett from the Paradigm Research Group and numerous others, because
of course
this is always supposed to be the Democratic way ever since Obama was in. Now, I'm not wanting, you know me, Rich, we talk about this. I don't want to get too deep into the politics, but there is a political game being played in ufology.
Yeah, well, that's what we thought we would get if Hillary Clinton was president. You know, Podesta was in her ear, and she always wanted to talk about it. Bill was trying to get information when he was president, supposedly. But yeah, it's interesting how the left wants to get disclosure out there on their watch. And without being too political, Dave, I mean, we are seeing a lot of Twitter people saying that, and you go to other platforms which no longer exist, and they think that the right should be disclosing it. So it is a very interesting wave of information we see from two different sides. I don't really care what side puts it out there. Just put it out. All right, enough playing games. I want to see it, and I don't want words. I don't care about 2 million documents that I know that aren't going to give me any video evidence, which we've been promised from TTSA we would see, and we haven't.
Blake and Brent, in regards to the whole political side of disclosure, do you guys feel that you know, that UFOs have become almost a political battleground?
Well, absolutely. And the problem is the major media, obviously, is major left. They don't want to speak for some reason. I don't know. In my opinion, they don't want to take any testimony from the public, even though the public's got better evidence than what these military videos released by the TTSA. Actually, those TTSA videos, we got to find out, or at least let's get the whole video before we come to a conclusion, because Third Phase of Moon's put out videos over the years that blow those videos out of the park, and the major media doesn't want to touch it. And in my opinion, this is some kind of conspiracy. If you ask me, we've reached out to the New York Times, the LA Times, even we've asked our team members, right, Richard, and even Dr. J. We said, reach out to these people. Let's share the evidence as it comes in. We could give them special reports. And I could happily say that Jaime Maussan, recently out of Mexico, has picked up Third Phase of Moon. We're collaborating with that country, and they're sharing our stuff. So the major media in Mexico doesn't have a problem sharing Third Phase of Moon content. They actually love it because they know it's the best stuff out there. But what's crazy is the American media doesn't want to touch it.
And
I got to say something. I'll just say something about too. Is like over the past 8 months, we've been so active with creating a team and creating documentaries, and even a lot of our panel members right now are participants of that, which is pretty interesting. Doc Skinner, we're working on our documentary, Countdown to Disclosure, that's going to be coming out February 16th. Sorry for the plug right there, but actually Doc Skinner was so cool because we said we need to talk to Bob Lazar, because Bob Lazar had something to say, because we needed his input about what was just being dispersed on the news about these off-world vehicles being discovered, and the Pentagon was about to release something. And then again, it got really exciting because that moment we're able to get Bob Lazar on the phone with our buddy Jim Goodall through Doc Skinner. Tell us how that broke down, Doc.
Sorry, I had to hit the mute button. Well, you guys called me, and I put on an event called Disclosure Con each October, except for this past one due to the 2020. And I had Jim Goodall at my event, and Jim Goodall has been named the world's foremost expert on spy planes.
We just had him on a couple nights ago.
Oh, okay, yes. So you know Jim, and so I knew his relationship. And I said, he liked the boys, he likes the brothers. So I said, would it be feasible if you could sit here at my dining room table and give Bob Lazar a call and see if he'll let us record it? So he called him, and he told them we're recording this, and he mentioned my name, and actually I was kind of giddy. I was like, oh wow, Bob Lazar heard my name. Holy crap, you know. But I kept it down. I was cool, you know, acting. And so we got that, and you know, he had some things to say, which I guess you'll have to wait to see the film, right, guys?
I would assume so.
Right.
I look
Brother,
forward to it. We only got about 25 seconds here, so go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, let me just say this really quick, because we dropped our trailer for Countdown to Disclosure on our YouTube channel and shared it on some other platforms. And then what's crazy is 2 days later, we had this drop of the 180-day countdown to UFO disclosure that was released. And this is very incredible to me.
All right. You know what? We're going to get into the 180-day disclosure when we come back. We got an incredible panel tonight. Blake and Brett Cousins from Third Phase of the Moon, Rich Giordano. We have Doc Skinner. We have Michael Roser and Paula Astoria talking UFOs all night long on the Mighty SOR. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Yeah, let's start with you on this, Rich, about the 180 days. I mean, this could be big, or it could be one giant flop.
Well, I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier in a way with the 2 million documents that were dumped by the CIA the other day. Could that be all of it? And if it is, what's in there? Because there's a lot of stuff to go through. I'm not too sure we're going to see anything. I think it's just clickbait title. That's, you know, very easily could be just to get people looking at the article saying, is this disclosure coming in 180 days? A lot of people, you know, people that we know, Dolan and other people, I can't think of anybody right now, but people that we know are saying that this probably isn't disclosure. It's just a way to get this passed, I guess. Didn't the bill already pass, though, the COVID bill?
It did. It did.
All right. See, and I was saying I thought this was to get the bill passed. So what is – I still don't understand what this is for, this 180 days. So what happens within 180 days?
Well, we're supposed to see if we got aliens or not.
But why? Why did they put a time limit on it? I don't understand. I still don't get it, and I read the articles twice. Nobody's saying –
Isn't the FBI supposed to, like, give any analysis of some of these anomalies that they've captured?
But why? If they don't do it in 180 days, then what happens? If they can never disclose stuff again? That's what I want to know. So nobody's telling me, nobody can give me an answer. So I can't give you one, Dave. All I know is that there's 180 days. I guess the FBI, whatever, is supposed to disclose whatever they know in the government about UAPs. It has nothing to do with the public, really. It's all government stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rich. I think this 180 days, what are we at now? 150 days? It's counting down.
Yeah.
I think what we're going to have in our documentary coming out is going to explain a lot more than what's going to be produced in 180 days. I'm kind of like on the fence with you too, Rich. I'm thinking it's just going to be a big flop, in my opinion.
Yeah, it will be, like always. They always make a promise, then as soon as you get to the door, they lock it on you. I'm very frustrated. I don't know what it means.
Doc Skinner, let's get your take on this. 180 days, big flop, or is this something that we could see a smoking gun?
Well, I have the same question. Why 180 days? Why not now? I mean, it's been so many decades. I mean, what's the difference between now and 180 days, except possibly a new administration? I mean, it's
because they know our documentary's coming out before that.
Well, that's going to be awesome. You're gonna have to get and see that. But no, I'm kind of with the guys. I'm on the fence. We have been let down so many times in the past, and that's why I think it falls upon us to try to get out there, because you know we don't have the agendas. We don't have big corporate sponsorships or big networks or anything like that. We're doing it on our own and finding out for ourselves, because we haven't been able to trust those resources in the past, because we now know that they lied to us about it all, about Project Blue Book and all these things ever since they came out with the Tic Tac video, which, by the way, yes, Third Phase of the Moon, we have a lot better stuff over there. The guys have been doing this for years, and they've got an amazing library of stuff that you can see some of the best stuff over on Amazon Prime, actually. with UFO Report. So the fact that they're putting out these little tiny crumbs of evidence, it's kind of insulting to the ones of us who've been doing this for a while. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in 180 days. I mean, if it does, fantastic. Wouldn't that be just eureka? But I feel jaded.
Why do you feel jaded?
Well, because, like I said, that, they've lied to us in the past. They've, dangled the carrot in front of us. And as Rich says, they slam the door right when you get to it. So, so I feel we got to work harder at what we do.
You know what's going to happen? This is what I think is going to happen. And we're all of us in this field of ufology, maybe our days are numbered, where we all agree. I think we all agree on the panel that there's something out there in the military's assets that are things that defy physics, it seems. But it's not actually defying anything except something that is being a meta propulsion craft or a vehicle. There's something that some private corporation has designed out there that emulates UFO technology. So once that's revealed to the public, if it ever is, if we're able to see this meta propulsion craft harness power where humans will be able to step into it, travel at 30,000 miles, whatever, a second, do these sharp angles without breaking up against the wall or smashing ourselves up against the wall with inertia. There's something going on. We all agree that it seems that it exists. And once they bring it out there, we're all done. There's never going to be a UFO sighting that anybody's interested in. And I'm happy with that. This is what we all need.
Right.
Apollo, let's get your opinion on the 180 days.
So I have two aspects that I want to come at this with. First of all, why now of all times? I mean, there's so much going on in the world right now. It's like new headlines every day of just, I don't even want to get into the politics of everything, but it's like, why now of all times are they deciding to do this? And it almost makes me wonder, I hate to bring the conversation this direction, but what if, Greer talks a lot about a false flag where there'd be like a big alien invasion happening, and it kind of worries me in a way because I'm almost wondering if that's the direction things are going to go. If you haven't heard of Greer talks about this a lot, about how he thinks that it's very likely that there could be a false flag of a fake alien invasion happening with the this blue beam technology. So, that's one aspect I want to come at it with. That's the first thing that comes to mind to me when I saw this come out. It's like, why now of all times? That's the first thing that comes to mind for me. And then also there's the aspect of, what are they bringing this forward because there's technology that they need to disclose that they can't really disclose this technology or start using this technology or revealing it to the public without basically disclosing that that UFOs are real, or that extraterrestrials are real, and that maybe we have been working with extraterrestrials for a while now. And so that's the other aspect I want to come at this with is a lot of other governments have already released their files to their citizens. And I believe it was about 10 years ago, the ex-Prime Minister of Defense for Canada came forward and said that the United States has been working with 3 extraterrestrial races since the late 30s, early 40s. And then the Israeli, here's the space administrator?
Ahmed
Shad, yeah. He came forward and also said that our government has been working with ET races, and that there is a galactic federation, and that basically we're not allowed to be on it yet because of where we are at consciously, I'm assuming, as a collective at this point in time. So, and then also like what I'm thinking with all of this is, it seems like all year they've been trying to have disclosure in some way. It's like they keep coming out and putting these headlines out, and then they'll basically backtrack on it. And they've been doing this several times throughout the year, like, the New York Times articles that came out and then were retracted. And, Trump even came close to talking about UFOs and ETs, and then, basically retracted his statements in a way. So I don't know. I feel like it's just they really want to disclose this, but they're kind of testing people to see how ready they are with this information, or how ready we are as a collective for full disclosure at this time.
Michael, before I get your opinion on this, I kind of want to share something here. One of the things that I have noticed about this, and one of my concerns is, are we going to get quality data? Are we going to get that Roswell that we don't know about? Are we going to find out what happened at Kecksburg? Are we going to find out information on some of these legendary cases? Because, going through and just telling us about weird lights in the sky, there was a report from Joe Smith down in Kentucky talking about lights in the sky. That doesn't do it for us. We need a little bit more than that, Michael. And I'm wondering if, we know these forbes are going to be heavily doxxed, but I believe it's going to be as vanilla as possible. What do you think?
Honestly, you couldn't have said it better. That's my concern too. When I first heard that, we were doing this 180 days to some sort of disclosure in some respect, I was worried that they were just going to give us a folder in front of us and say, here's what we have, and it'll be enough for us to really chew on, and enough for them to say, okay, you guys can shut up now, leave us alone. And that's what it'll do. But we'll still have that hunger, because as you're mentioning, a lot of these will be doxed and they are redacted. So we're not getting the clear picture of what's going on here. In respect to this whole 180-day things, I think that this is probably a very interesting time that they could have done that. Given what Apollo is saying here, it reflects my opinions as well. I mean, we're looking at General Ashed, divulging things about Mars and bases there. We had Tucker Carlson talking about off-world vehicles. And, we had, as she mentioned, Trump, again, about to spill the beans on Area 51, and he did not. What better time? If this wasn't just a softening of the public, little by little, as we've talked about, because we know they've done it in movies and so forth, maybe this is the next step where we're actually getting some physical things that we can hold in our hand. And, again, maybe there is a bigger plan here to, get us ready for a full disclosure of sort. I still don't think that a full disclosure, the way that we would talk about it, is going to come from our government. I have to agree with the other members of the panel here and believe that it'll more than likely be an individual revolution. And, how that is actually achieved, time will tell. I mean, there's great power in conviction, but you have to be convicted in the right things, of course. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting to see. I don't necessarily think they're going to give us everything that we want towards the end of these 180 days. And I'm also concerned that what they just gave us, that CIA dump, is maybe all we're going to get. Maybe that was it. Hey, we got it to you within 180 days. You guys now have something, and it's all we have. But who's the one calling the shots behind that scene saying, oh, well, I checked it out, and yes, that's everything in the archives?
See,
So
that's my concern.
Yeah.
Is there's the archives, and then there's the real good woo that we want.
Yeah, exactly, Dave. I find it so hard to believe that this CIA dump is only text, paper work. And, we've been doing this for, 12 years. We've got thousands of videos, a lot of them that still can't be explained. NASA doesn't even know what they're filming. They don't even want to come forward and explain any of these things away, and the public evidence. And then the CIA can't even produce one single video or photograph in all these documents. It's just, again, I think this whole buildup, like Apollo and everybody's agreeing here, that I don't know. It seems to me, I think Rich is the only one that disagrees with everybody on the panel, that there might be some kind of disclosure one way or the other, because I think it's destined in our lifetime that we're going to find out everything. We're going to get everything that the humans have wanted to achieve all along. And maybe it might be our undoing. This is what happens to maybe civilizations. They get everything that they want to know. And then once they find out about everything, then it's wiped away. And maybe we're coming to this pinnacle where our destiny in regards to the future, because we're here. The future is now. It's the most extreme of technology. It's just about to go to another level. And now, who knows? We're going to see everything. I think we're going to see the meteorites, asteroids. We're going to see extraterrestrials. We're going to see intervention. We're going to see longevity through medicine. We're going to live forever if that's what you want to choose. All these things are at the cusp. But if we blow it, we're not going to get it. But something's going down. You can just feel it.
I've been
Something's
hearing
gonna
this for 17 years, though. Nothing's getting us closer. We're not any closer.
I don't know. Things are changing, Rich. Look at how the government's talking about this, all this stuff. At least the politicians are getting involved more than they ever have, and it's more mainstream than
Social media, that's the only reason. Clicks and views, and vote for me. I'm sorry, I can't help it. It's just what it is. It's all political. The whole thing is.
Now, when it comes down to science, we're looking at 17 years, like you said. Now we're looking at a whole new frontier of science, and again, what the capabilities are there from nanotechnology and all these extra aspects of that could be disclosed in the near future.
So
CRISPR.
what? That doesn't mean aliens gave it to us.
Oh, it could be reverse engineered, possibly. You never know.
Possibly, allegedly, supposedly, a lot of leads.
You know, one thing I don't care about, in my opinion, Third Phase of the Moon's about this technology. I want this technology to be open to the public, whether it's from aliens, from another galaxy or solar system. I really don't care. What I want is the technology to travel in these craft. I want to go and traverse this, solar system in a super way that seems plausible. Apparently, according to these Tic Tacs, the Navy, this is what I want. And that's what we need to expose. There's energy out there that we're not getting.
We want the same thing. I want what you want. Yeah, and that's why I like teaming up with you. We do have like minds. We don't agree with everything, but we want the same goal. We have the same goal. And even if I only believe 1%, that 1% pushes me as hard as I do to talk about what's real and what isn't, and what we should believe in and what we shouldn't. The political side, the non-political, the public's going to disclose it. We all know that. That's where it's
and that's
at.
why we brought that's crazy, because I remember when we first reached out to Rich at GoofOn, and I think he's called GoofOn Radio at that time. Dave Scott was on that show.
Yeah.
And Dave and you guys were talking, you guys were talking a little smack about Third Phase Moon. Or at least I know Rich
We were talking
was.
about a video, and I said, this isn't real.
Get it on. What was great, though, is that we got in, and that's what kind of started a little bit of this little dynamic that's going on now. And, the social media is not all bad. The social media is there to actually have a connection. And I think Third Phase Moon utilized that perfectly with the public to get that information that the social media wants to share on a platform, and then bring everybody involved that's on the show tonight. And we've all dealt with everybody personally as best as we can remotely from Hawaii. But there's a friendship, there's a bond happening, and it's a cool collective.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say something real quick here that Blake had mentioned a little bit earlier, that perhaps in some way of disclosure, when that happens, ufology as we know it may be done. We might not have anything to do. I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case, because number one, these documents, they're talking about UFOs. And, if they're specifically saying that it's of extraterrestrial origin, or, there's aliens involved, that's one thing. But they're giving us a glimpse of the technology without any real explanation of perhaps where it's coming from. And if we do disclose, again, the search will never really end, because, okay, we have this technology, but what about the alien presence? Oh, we didn't give you anything on that. So that's what we'll have to do next.
But Michael, but this is the whole thing too. It's like, do we really need to know if it's alien technology? Let's just give me the technology. I'll be happy with that.
Right.
Sure. Some people would be happy with that. Yeah.
Well, that's probably the reason for the secrecy. Like, why do we need to have disclosure? Why were these secrets? Why are these secrets in the first place? Like, and I think that's what you guys are saying with the technology. Obviously, you know, I think there's this conspiracy where this technology, they don't want it released because obviously we have this technology, and we've, you know, been working with these different races, our governments have been, and I think, you know, it's kind of more of a conspiratorial thing where they don't want, maybe some, you know, people out there don't want us all to have these free energy technologies, because that would mean that we wouldn't need, you know, to be working for a system, because we would all be, you know, in a free energy society, and that would be a much different world, you know, for everyone.
It's not cost effective for them. They're not making money if they're not in control of stuff. They give free energy away. I was working with a company years ago called Space Island Group, where we were working with wireless electricity, and that technology we were restricted by certain governments, and now we're finding out Space Force is going to, you know, roll it out and say, look what we've got. So, you know, it's all about controlling the technology and keeping it to themselves as long as possible until they realize they can make more money, you know, in the public eye, to where it's not something so magical it freaked them out. They're like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, I see how that floating skateboard works, you know. But yeah, it's about control. It's about money and using it for defense purposes in some cases.
Well, that's a big thing, is we only got about 2 minutes to go before we have to go to break here at the top of the hour. You know, I want to get into the idea between confirmation and disclosure. We'll talk more about this in the next half hour, but here's what I'm hearing from a number of my sources, that they don't care to disclose. The governments of the world, namely the United States, don't care to disclose right now, because the great debate is, can humanity handle this subject? We can, because we're in this every day. But we also have to remember there's billions of people on this planet, whether for personal or religious reasons or financial reasons, turn their back towards this subject. We know the mainstream media has. So as we go into break and kind of go into the next half hour here, I'm curious, are we on a path for confirmation or on a path for disclosure? Because that's the big drawing line. And the word I'm hearing is it's about confirmation, because those who are 35 years old and up, the majority of them cannot handle it, would not be able to handle it. If all
I
of a
don't
sudden...
think so. I don't think so, Dave. I think they would. There's not a problem with the technology, because everybody would embrace it. Everybody wants to go visit their family. On the opposite side of the planet, everybody wants to go travel. It's all about just travel. Who cares of where it came from? We all know we're not alone. I think we could pretty much all agree that there's something out there, whether they're here or not. Maybe they were here millions of years ago and they're inhabiting somewhere underneath the oceans, and they've been hiding out all this time. I just want the technology. I want to see something that defies anything that physics knows, or some kind of meta propulsion device that we could all hop into and have a good time, like the Jetsons. We all deserve it.
I want my goddamn Millennium Falcon. That's all.
Exactly. Everyone, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. We have an amazing UFO panel tonight. Brenton Blake from Third Phase of Moon, Rich Giordano. We got Michael Roser from Dark Hour Paranormal.
If you want to listen to the entire interview via Dave Scott and Spaced Out Radio and the entire team from Third Phase of Moon, please go check out Dave Scott at Spaced Out Radio. The link is below. Everybody keep your eyes on the skies. Be safe. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you real soon. We got some new UFO sightings just in.
Third Phase of Moon. Third Phase of Moon.